everyone, thank you for having me. My name is Valentina and I'm here from Community Language Co-op. I'm a simultaneous interpreter here to provide language justice for tonight's meeting. Language justice is a type of interpretation that seeks to create spaces in which no one language is dominant, spaces in which everyone can participate in the language of their heart. Hola a todos, todas y todos, gracias por tenerme aquí. Mi nombre es Valentina y estoy aquí por parte de Community Language Co-op para ofrecerles justicia lingüística para la sesión de esta noche. La justicia lingüística es un tipo de interpretación que busca crear espacios en los que no domine ningún idioma, espacios en los que todos puedan participar con el idioma de su corazón. So to achieve this objective, we will be using Zoom's interpretation feature. What you will see in just a few minutes appear is a new icon at the very bottom of your screen that looks like a globe. When you see it, click on it and 3 options will appear: English, Spanish, or off. Please go ahead and choose the language that you wish to listen and speak in, or off if you're fully bilingual. On a phone or a tablet, you will find these same options by clicking on the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and there you will find a button that says More and a menu that will show interpretation. Para lograr este objetivo, esta noche utilizaremos la función de interpretación de Zoom. Lo que verán en unos minutitos es que aparecerá un nuevo botón en la parte inferior de su pantalla que parece un globo terráqueo. Haga clic ahí y elige el idioma que desee escuchar o en el que desee participar, o desactívelo si es completamente bilingüe. Verá las opciones inglés, español o apagado. En un teléfono o en una tableta encontrará las mismas opciones al hacer clic en los 3 puntitos en la esquina superior derecha. Dele clic en más y después aparecerá un menú con la opción de interpretación. A few things to remember is that I am interpreting simultaneously, so please be aware of your speed and clarity, and please do mute yourself when you're not participating. If I need to communicate with you, I will reappear in video and do this sign to request that you speak a little bit slower, and this sign to request that you speak a little bit louder. If you have any trouble whatsoever with the technology, please let the whole group know by means of the chat box. Un par de cositas que tener en cuenta es que estoy interpretando de manera simultánea, así que por favor tenga en cuenta su velocidad y claridad y silencie su micrófono cuando no esté participando. Si yo necesito comunicarme con ustedes, reapareceré en video y haré esta señal para solicitarles que hablen más lento y esta señal para solicitarles que hablen más alto. Si tiene alguna pregunta o algún problema con la tecnología, por favor comuníqueselo al grupo completo a través del chat. Listo, gracias por tenerme. Vamos a activar los canales y recuerden seleccionar su canal. Okay, let's turn on the channels now and make sure that they work. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. This is the second public meeting for the 47th and Walden new park. So thank you so much for being with us. We had such a successful first meeting. As you'll see in our presentation, we got a lot of feedback, both in the first meeting and with a survey to follow. So thank you all for participating and coming back and participating again. We're very excited to be with you this evening. I also wanted to acknowledge the council office representation here with us. Melissa Sotelo is here, so thank you so much for joining us. We've been really appreciative with your involvement and really advocating for this park, so thank you. I will hand it off to Paul to begin the presentation.
Thanks, Mallory. I'm Paul Thomas with Stream Landscape Architecture, and we're the consultants working with Denver Parks and Recreation to conduct this master planning process. So the goals and the agenda for the meeting are shown on this slide. We're going to go back. If you didn't see or attend the first meeting, we'll do a quick review of some of the materials that we covered. We'll cover the results of the first opinion survey that was issued at the time of the first meeting and then was open for several weeks. We got a lot of really good participation on that, so we're looking forward to sharing that. Basically, that opinion survey was very important in helping us to develop a vision for the park. And then after that, we actually developed 3 master plan concepts. Later on in the presentation, we'll talk about next steps, and we will have a survey to ask you some questions about the materials that we're presenting in this meeting at the end of the meeting. And like last time, it will also be posted on City of Denver website. So if you have any family members or friends who missed the meeting, we're taping it. They'll be able to click on the link, get to the meeting, watch it, and also take the survey. So we encourage you to spread the word and get people to participate even if they couldn't make it.
And Paul, sorry to interrupt. Can you speak a little louder? And then also if there's a way to view the full screen so it's a little larger, that would be helpful.
Are you not seeing the full screen, Laura?
No, I am. Just, it's okay.
Okay. Okay, I will speak a little louder. Is that, just let me know if that's a little bit better. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that feedback. So moving ahead, excuse me. This is a diagram that shows where we are in the process. You can see we started just with the initial master planning process. We had the first public meeting in February. Here we are at the second public meeting. The first public meeting was mostly an introduction to the project. Second public meeting, we have concepts to present. There will be a third public meeting sometime in early summer, probably June, in which we will take your feedback and come back with a single concept, but we'll still have questions to ask you and enhancements and refinements to make to the plan. And then finally, in late summer, we'll issue a final master plan document. This is a master plan. It's not a construction project. So the project will probably require several years before the funding is available. But Mallory can talk about that maybe when we finish. So going first to the recap of the first meeting, and I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. The site is in the Gateway area near Green Valley Ranch. You can see the site here in the middle. It's in a neighborhood of existing houses, but it's also bordered by a lot of future development parcels, as you can see from this aerial. It has a historic ditch that crosses the southwest corner, and it also has a drainage way going through the middle of it. This is a slide that shows some of the key features. The blue line there is the drainage way, and then this little also blue line on the corner is the old Derby Canal, which was part of the Highline Canal network that delivered water to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal area. You'll also see that we share this block with the KIPP Northeast School, which is both an elementary school and a middle school. And then you can see the neighborhoods to the north and to the south. Going to the survey, just wanted to share what we learned about the site. Basically, we asked people about the type of park experience that they'd like. The most popular option was an active social community hub. The second most popular was a natural open space feeling park. And the third in the purple was a sports and fitness oriented park. So a good mix of different types of activities was preferred. You can see in this lower graph, it represents the age groups. And you can see that the under 18 was very highly well represented in the project. So we're very happy to see that. And then it tapers off. We've got 55 to 64 in orange and 35 to 44 in green were the second most populous groups. We had a lot of different types of potential improvements that we asked people to rate for us in the survey. And so these are ranked, these are listed in order of the rankings that they received. So number one was a splash interpretive water feature. Number two was a playground. Number three was a sledding hill or high point overlook and kind of grassy slope, we sometimes call it. Number four is a nature walk and boardwalk. Number five, walking paths and running loops. I'll start to go through these quickly, but picnic, I'm going to just list them in order. Picnic areas with shade shelters, public art, plaza gathering space, multi-use athletic field, fitness stations, volleyball, basketball, bike challenge course, habitat garden, skate feature, performance venue, games. We're down to like rank 17 now. Rank 18 is community garden, interpretation and environmental education, parkour, open space natural area, tennis courts, pickleball, disc golf, and last was handball. That gives you a sense of how things were rated by you, the public. With this information that we received, and there were also a lot of specific comments that didn't fit into those categories, but that provided us with a good idea of what people wanted, we developed some guiding principles that help to define the vision for the park. So this is really helps us to come up with some concepts that we feel are providing ideas for that respond to the public. So I'm going to read these through. They're not in really any particular order of importance. So the park should be a social gathering hub for the community, but should also provide opportunities for solitary enjoyment. Natural areas should be a major focus of the park. A variety of sports should be accommodated, but in a manner that complements the social and natural areas, so not a sports park. We should connect the park to the community on all sides and create strong pedestrian connections to adjacent neighborhoods. And the park should have a strong connection to the Derby Lateral Trail, which I should mention, a regional trail is planned along that Derby Lateral that we saw in the initial slide. So there's a good reason to have a strong connection to that, because that will provide connections both within and between neighborhoods in the local area. Then the park should provide opportunities for joint use by the KIPP school for students and teachers, both. We thought the drainage channel should be enhanced as a natural feature and environmental learning opportunity. And the park should be sustainable and designed to conserve natural resources. And the park should be a safe place in all the meanings of that statement. The park should attract and provide recreational opportunities for all ages and cultures. The activities in the park should complement the recreational offerings that are already in the far northeast area and some of the other parks nearby. The park should be flexible and able to accommodate a wide variety of functions and events, such as concerts, picnics, celebrations, etc. The park should encourage healthy living. And the park should feature a variety of landscape types, from manicured grass, natural areas, gardens and shrub beds, and tree groves. Pardon me. So that wraps up the guiding principles. And we're going to move into the concept plans. I'm going to turn over the presentation to my colleague.
And actually, Paul, before, can you go back to the guiding principles? I just wanted to make sure if anybody saw something that stood out to them.
Oh, thank you.
Or, yeah, resonated with them, or they feel like something is missing, whatever it is, just please put those in the chat. We haven't started using the chat yet, but we want to hear from you while you're here. So if there was something you heard that you loved, please let us know.
Yeah, tell us what you like, especially. We love encouragement. And then Carrie, I think, are we going to move to a different file?
Yes, so I can share my screen.
Okay.
That works. Is everyone seeing my screen?
I'm not seeing it yet, Carrie.
Okay.
We just see your desktop,
Yeah.
so you might be sharing the wrong thing.
Try that again, Carrie.
Oh.
I stopped sharing.
We good now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Great.
Good.
So great. Thank you all for coming. And thank you, Paul, for the synopsis of our last meeting and the general overview of the project. We're really excited to be working on this park plan, 13-acre park in this growing neighborhood. Have it on full screen, Laura, but I'm not able to turn the, oh, there it goes. Okay, just takes a moment, I guess. So we've developed 3 concepts to share with you today. And what emerged from our first public meeting were kind of some themes. There was a lot of interest in a sports theme and one that's a bit more passive recreation and really focused on nature and open space. And a third one that is really focused on activity and kind of this social community hub. So we have prepared these 3 concepts that are focused on these 3 themes. However, it's really important to keep an open mind. Wherever the design lands will, no matter what, probably be a combination of these themes. This is just a way for us to organize and present it to you with these key focus areas. But when we send out the survey and solicit your feedback, even in this forum in the chat, we really want your feedback on specific amenities and design features that you really like, or that you think are missing, or you don't like in a particular location. That's kind of the specific feedback we're shooting for in this. So we welcome your feedback, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But for right now, I'll just run through these. Feel free to write your questions in the chat, and then we can open it up at the end. So this first one is the sports concept. This concept is very much focused on all of the high-ranking active recreational kind of program offerings that we showed in the first meeting. So multi-use sports field came in pretty high, even though we have an existing turf field at the school that is used on the weekends with the Parks and Rec department for soccer games and such. This concept expands upon that and provide almost like a mirrored image of that field. It would probably be natural turf for flexibility, and there would be some terraced kind of seat wall seating so that you could view the field to the west. Adjacent to that in the turf area are some sand volleyball courts. And up here in this zone, we'll talk about in a minute in a blow up, is a court area. So court sports, basketball, horseshoes, bocce. There could be a lot of, flexible seating in this area and benches, and this could be its own kind of athletic gathering area, if you will. We have some picnic shelters throughout this lawn. This open lawn space right here has flexible use. So it could be used for sports, but it could just be open use for many different, non-organized sports. We have a pollinator garden, little pollinator garden, habitat garden ranked pretty high on the survey the first round, and people are really interested in exploring habitat gardens. So we wanted to respond to that. And then up here on this west side, kind of close to the corner, we have kind of a larger entry off the corner of Telluride and 47th. And then that leads into a plaza space with some seating and maybe even some trees and tree grates and break up the space a little bit. So there's a little plaza space and then a playground, pretty large playground divided into age groups. And so the active hub kind of sits on this northwest corner. Adjacent to the play, we thought we would kind of explore the idea of a pump track or a little scooter loop or something for, not for advanced skateboarders and such, but more for kids just to kind of go do some bank turns and some wavy path, little circuit there. And then this, go back. And then also on this west side, you'll see this in another scheme as well. We wanted to do like a little mini park that might service the growing neighborhood, the development that's going to happen to the west. So a little turf area, it could be for yoga, it could be for just dogs. And let's see, and then along this leg of the site, you'll see this in most of our schemes that we really respect the open space quality and the native grasses. And this drainage channel, which comes through, is a prominent feature on the site. And so the site in this scheme goes from really active and a lot of turf and kind of moves down and shifts into more passive rec, walking trails. Along the drainage area, we have a little discovery path with a soft surface trail where kids can kind of do some exploring, and connection to the school with a little boulder terraces and a shelter where they might have a little outdoor classroom. And then
it looks like we have a question from the council office from Melissa.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. I have a quick question. In looking at this design, do you know how long the loop is? Like in this design, would it be a mile loop around, just so folks can get an idea if
yes,
for the runners of our group?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up. When we interviewed the staff at the KIPP school, they said that Girls on the Run program is really active at KIPP, which is great. And so I don't know the exact distance. We measured it as we were doing these design iterations. I think, Paul might correct me, I think 3 times around the full loop is a mile. But this site is large enough that we can easily design to a certain distance so that 3 times around or twice around is a mile.
Yeah, 3 times around the grassy area, the central grassy area was about a mile.
And it could go longer if you were, if they were to extend down here and around on the sidewalk. So there are lots of different ways to do it. So yeah, that's definitely something we've been thinking about. Thank you for asking that. So that is the sports scheme. I just wanted to expand upon it with some imagery. So sand volleyball and turf, that's over here. And we have just kind of soccer to show, soccer is a very high demand sport, and this field would support that use. Kind of showing some boulder terraces, how that might work into the hillside. We have some grade change as as the site moves from east to west, the grade goes down towards the drainage area. So we could take advantage of the grade by doing some terrace seating in there. And then this bottom image kind of reflects the more formal stadium-like seating that might occur in this area. And then a couple blow-ups here. We wanted to kind of zoom in because I know people are potentially even on their phone right now. So screens are small. So this central like northwest corner I talked about would have play, and of course that is yet to be designed how that would actually work out, but just maybe a real colorful character to it, lots of different play elements, slides, always important. There might be a way to do some trees, integrate trees into the plaza space and do some seat walls and informal seating as an informal gathering area. And these bottom two images show a local park here that has done a kind of pump track circuit similar to what we're proposing in this plan. And then lastly for this, just a zoom in on the court area and how there might be horseshoes and bocce, and basketball was a notable use that people really wanted that came out of the survey, especially as we got more and more youth responding to the survey. So we definitely wanted to make that a key element in this scheme. So I'm going to keep going and then we're going to talk about it all. Does that sound good? Okay. So this is the nature concept. So focus on passive rec and really exploring nature. And so we have native vegetation areas along the top. We have a shrub bed just to break it up. As you can probably see, there's much less turf in this scheme. So we're really, the planting scheme would be emphasizing natural grasses that are appropriate for our climate. On this northeast side, there would be an overlook plaza. This is kind of a high point up here. And so that could look out across the park and to the west. This scheme focuses a lot of the energy and the development, the active part of the site is adjacent to the school in this zone. So we'll show you a blow up of that in a minute. But and one of this scheme, unlike the last one, has an interactive water feature. We know that ranked super high on the survey, so we definitely wanted to look at a couple different ways to do that. In this case, the water feature is kind of like a meandering little stream. So it's not a ton of water, not a lot of jets and action, but very much focused on exploration and little kids getting in there and exploring the little meandering river. What's great is that it meanders down and connects with the drainage channel. So it'll kind of works with this site very well. We have a very intentional habitat garden with paths that go through and little gathering areas for kids either in the neighborhood or children from the school can easily access this site and explore the habitat garden. Similarly, we have the community garden. So this, there's a nearby community garden at the elementary school, but we wanted to kind of expand upon that. The KIPP school currently has about 4 raised beds and would like to, with the Boys and Girls Club, if they're so active with, would really like to expand upon that program. So we thought we would give that opportunity down here along this kind of leg of the site with this path connection. This scheme, as I said in the last one, kind of takes advantage of these mini parks where there might be just some bench seating and access down to the larger part of the site, but it gives the surrounding neighborhood access to the park in a little way. If you don't want to go and if you don't have time to go explore the whole park and you're a nearby resident, you can go and quickly get access to green space and open space in this growing neighborhood. And then at the corner, there would be a small plaza with a pavilion to kind of engage that corner of the site. There's a regional trail, and this is true in all cases. The regional trail would be coming across here on this west side along the drainage channel. It will cross the street. It's in this general vicinity, and it will be about a 10-foot long trail as part of our broader regional network. And then that will continue down in this scheme. It continues down along Telluride there. And anything I missed on this one, Paul? I can go to the next one.
I think you got it.
Okay, so this top image kind of reflects maybe the character of the community garden. Maybe it's a little more kid focused, got some color to it, and you have a little fun with that design. This image right here shows kind of maybe how these mini parks might look with as like informal seating and turf. This third image is an outdoor classroom. So in this area right here, adjacent to the school, there would be little groupings of boulder, half circles or whatever, where teachers can come out and teach with the children and really provide that link between the school and the park. It's an important part of the community. And then this last image shows some boardwalks. There might be ways, this drainage area has some kind of wetland vegetation in certain areas, and there might be ways how the crossings can engage that space and kids can get up close to it and explore down in the drainage area.
Carrie, that is one thing maybe that you could talk about is the nature trail that kind of connects to the play area and goes along the drainage.
Along here, yes, thank you. Right, so there's this discovery path. See, it's like kind of, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So kind of more like thinner, informal path. This is a discovery path that runs along the drainage area and would have little boulder crossings. And this is not this drainage channel does not have a ton of water in it. It's quite flat, but there is enough in there where this could be a great spot for there to be a discovery trail. We are also proposing cottonwood grove or a cottonwood planting in that wettest, lowest part of the site, which would be a great amenity to provide shade. There's not a lot of shade on the site right now, so that we definitely want to take advantage of the drainage area to get some cottonwood trees in there. So that's what you're seeing along here. And then that trail, discovery trail, links up with this kind of key feature of the site. So here we are, we're kind of zoomed in. This is the KIPP school and then their field. And so we're directly adjacent to that, but we're using some evergreens along the edge to kind of be a little bit of a buffer. In this scheme, we have play in all schemes, but in this scheme, we really wanted to highlight nature play. And so that's what is seen in this area right here. And it kind of crosses over a little bit. You got maybe a little kid zone. This blue squiggle is the meandering interactive water feature that might look something like this, that has that's boulder lined and safe for kids to go in. And also along with that same scheme would be a dry creek bed that then as the water feature ends and it gets towards the drainage area, it could become a dry creek bed, which is also fun to explore. The water feature itself could have maybe some larger areas where there are large boulders so that, the older kids can get up on those. We would want to, if we go ahead with this scheme, we want to do some studies of scale and how that would work. And so that the water feature isn't a large feature, but that it meanders through the rocks in certain ways. This image shows how there might be the boulder crossings that occurred down by the drainage area. Oops. And then on the bottom here, these two images just kind of generally reflect what we kind of think of when we say nature play, natural materials and exploration, and that lends itself very well to this scheme. So lastly, we have the community hub concept. So this just really takes that idea that this park is a vital part of our neighborhood and that it should have a really active core. And so in this one, we were looking at, okay, well, what if we really centralize the activity and put it on the north side of the site? So that's what you're seeing here. We can dive into that a little bit. In general, we're cognizant of access and circulation. We wanted to make sure that all the neighborhoods from all sides have equal access to the park. I'm going to go to the next one. So there are images here. We have, so this top image kind of shows how the character of the walking trails and how even though there is this active hub, there is a ton of space within this park to go and do your own exploring. Down here on the south side, we have kind of a high point. As I had said earlier, this up here is a high point, but also there's a high point down here, and it's quite steep down to the drainage area. So we wanted to take advantage of that and maybe have a high point with a slope turf, and that's what we're showing here with kids rolling down the hill. Along in the native area and natural grasses, we have some stone terracing and stone boulder access to the drainage area. Again, this path along here would probably be soft surface and keep the main circulation along this edge right here. So I'll just go to the next one just to kind of show really what's going on here. So we have the main central hub, and as you enter to the park, this kind of round shape would be divided into a really active play space on the top of it, and then there would be a little bit of terracing, and then down on the bottom would be a large plaza that would be almost like a plaza-like interactive water feature. This would, contrary to the last one that was more natural and more of a slow like flow of water through rocks, this one is much more jets and active use. The paving would be very important in this space to make sure that there's interest outside of the summer months. It could be something like a labyrinth. We could also look into incorporating public art into this plaza, either as part of the water feature or not. Public art rated highly on our survey as well. So this is so this would be a large space. It could be broken up with, some flexible seating and really kind of the hub of the neighborhood. And then along the south side, we were thinking there could be a large pavilion, maybe something like this image here in the upper right, and that pavilion could serve both sides. It could be a pavilion space where people can gather as part of the interactive water feature plaza, or it could turn the other direction towards the turf lawn area, and in fact could even be a stage for some informal performances. So that's the main concept here is this really active core on the north side of the site, and that the play area would reflect that as well. Lots of color and vibrancy to it. Yep. And then we can look at all three and open it up to questions and comments. We have them all three on here. I know they're very small, but just wanted you to be able to see them all. I know that's a lot of information to take in, but you can kind of do a quick comparison as you look at all three. And I can go back to any of the slides as needed.
And Carrie, just as a reminder, the first one was the sports focus.
Yes.
The second one,
Sports, nature, and then community hub. Yeah.
And it looks like we've already had a few comments and one question. So I did receive a comment about a preference to have kind of the playground away from the street. So that second concept was preferred. And then we have a question about the boundary kind of between the school and each of the concepts. Could you talk a little bit about what that boundary looks like between the school property and the new park?
Carrie, I could jump in on this.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
So if we start from the boundary on the north side, between the park and the school, that's largely kind of a service drive for the school on the school side. And there is I think about a 4-foot tall chain link fence that runs along that. The chain link fence is fairly continuous and runs adjacent to the sports field, the school's sports field. And then you can see once it gets to the south corner of the sports field, it kind of angles across. So pretty much we have the fence, nice new, it's not a super tall fence. I think it's 4 feet tall. And so that edge, for the most part, is pretty favorable. Maybe not so much where on the north part where it's the service. So the northern part might warrant more of a buffer or some kind of a transitional use between the school and the park. Any other questions, Mallory?
Not seeing any other questions on the chat, but we have this meeting set up. If people would like to raise their hand, we can call on you. If you want to use the chat feature and ask any questions you have, now's the time to do it. We can talk about these concepts a little bit more in detail. If anybody has specific questions or suggestions, maybe we've not included something that you really wanted to see here and we want to hear about it. Is there any feeling from anybody about kind of steering more towards one style, one theme more than another? Are we looking more for an active use related to kind of sports? Or are we looking more of a kind of a passive experience with nature being a focus? What does everybody think?
And I think Bailey might be wanting to add something. I'm assuming by the camera, Bailey, you're welcome to jump in.
Oh, no, I'm just listening.
Okay, great.
I will add in, this is Melissa with Councilwoman Gilmore's office. I really like the option that was presented earlier of a hybrid in looking at these 3 individuals, but really looking at how we can combine different features. I really like the playground splash park, but I do know for a lot of youth in our community, basketball is important. Access to sports is important, and where the community in the southwest part of Green Valley Ranch. It's too late to geographically see it, but
Montbello?
Of Green Valley.
Of Green Valley.
Yep. And so I do like those different elements combined, but with the focus for nature play as well, in how we utilize the space. I do see, for example, opportunity to extend in version 3 to extend the green space to have that soccer field or things like that. So yeah.
Thank you for that input, Melissa. That is really the intent behind showing such drastically different themes, was to try and say, here are the big differences and how can we pick and choose from each of those differences to find that hybrid. So I really appreciate you pointing that out, because I imagine a lot of other folks will feel the same way.
And I do have one more question. Will this park be like the athletic field will, let's say if, like pee-wee soccer or baseball, what have you, would they have to go through the same permitting process if folks want to schedule to use volleyball, for example? Maybe not a professional tournament, but just between friends. And community members, would they have to reserve the spot through the permitting office with parks, or how would that look like in reserving spaces to play?
Yeah, that would be a preference of the community. We can create spaces that are an area that can be reserved through a permitting department. We do this sometimes with the picnic areas. Some areas will permit, some areas we won't. It's really kind of the preference of the community.
It looks like there's comments in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just noticing some of the comments about the sports fields in particular. I see a comment about how the basketball, baseball, and soccer fields at the school are highly used. Lots of people are using those fields after school hours. So there is definitely a need for some of these fields, even though there are some already at the school, it seems. Let's see, sorry, I'm just reading through these a little bit. We have a comment about one of the individuals joining us. Molly is the club director of the GVR Boys and Girls Club located at KIPP. And let's see, one of the features that stood out to her for the kids in particular, it was after school and summer times, were the discovery paths, the skate and bike loop, nature play space, kind of that ground maze, or the pump track idea, and various water feature options. And then we have a comment about a preference for kind of the splash pad area, since there's not a pool in the area. That would be very advantageous. And then another comment about how we like the nature, the nature theme in particular. And there's kind of an agreement with the water feature as well. There's quite a bit of room for sports at the existing school grounds that gets used by the community as well. And kind of a second to that point as well. Thank you for that input. Do we have any other questions about the concepts or any other ideas that you all want to see incorporated? Well, if we don't have any more questions, we can go forward with kind of a presentation of just the next steps. And so you all understand how we're moving forward and how we want your continued participation in this effort, because it's really helped shape these concepts so far, and we want to have a preferred concept based on continued input from you all.
So Mallory, I think we're just switching over to Bailey. Just one moment.
Yeah, one moment. Okay. All righty. Can you see the screen, guys?
Yep, we got it. Yeah, so I think the next slide.
Oh, next one.
Oh no, this is the one.
Okay.
Great. So just wanted to revisit the process, the public process, and where we're at. This is master plan. As Paul said, this isn't construction documents. The master plan was initiated last year, and we've had our first meeting, and now our second. Our third one, we're targeting June. And in that meeting, we will be showing and sharing with you a refined concept that takes in, we will gather all of the survey data, the survey that's going to go out, and work on the design and push forward all the things that the community wants and what makes sense for the Parks Department and our budget and all the factors. And we will refine a concept plan, and we'll be presenting it to you And within that, we will want some feedback. And that feedback might be more on more detailed information, specific, playground features and whatnot. It'll be more drilled down in terms of the feedback we'll be wanting at that time. So anything I missed, Paul?
No, I think that's good. I just would remind people that this is being recorded, and once we unleash the survey, get all your friends and family to participate.
Can you see the next one? Did it go?
So there's the survey link. And Laura, were you going to provide that in the chat as well? So there's a message from Laura Morales in the chat. You can go and copy that link and then paste it in your browser and get right to the survey. Or copy it. You'll have this as a reference. Or follow up with an email and we'll send you the information if all else fails.
Thank you all for participating this evening, and please let us know if you have any other questions before we sign off here. But please participate in the survey. Please share this specifically with our youth. We've really appreciated their feedback as it pertains to some of the play features and things like that. We really want to hear from a variety of folks. So please share that survey as wide as you can.
Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate your feedback, so keep it coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great. I don't see any questions coming in other than thank you all on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Have a great night.